atmosphere here. Welcome back to today's Donkey Storytime and happy Camp Read a Lot Week. I hope you are having a wonderful time, getting a chance to dive on into some special camp fun and adventures in your choice boards and in our meets this week. I know I'm having such a great time with all of you. Well, happy Thursday. Today we are coming back to James and the Giant Peach as we are getting closer and closer to the ending of this story and hopefully closer to where the peach is going to end up after all of this. So if you remember, we left off with quite another mix-up again with those cloud men. We ended up in a deluge, a huge rainstorm, but thankfully for Centipede it worked out great because it washed off all that paint. But now we're floating off. The seagulls seem to be picking up speed, but where they're headed and where we'll end up, we don't really know. So we're going to keep reading right on. Today we're going to be reading chapter 32 to start. And we're going to read right on through to all the way to chapter 35 today. So I'll put my bookmark in there so we know where to stop. For now, we'll jump on into chapter 32 and see where this peach is heading. And when full daylight came at last, they all got to their feet and stretched their poor cramped bodies. And then the centipede, who always seemed to see things first, shouted, "Look! There's land below!" "He's right," they cried, running to the edge of the peach and peering over. "Hooray! Hooray! It looks like streets and houses, but how enormous it is!" A vast city, glistening in the early morning sunshine, lay spread out for 3,000 feet below them. At that height, the cars were like little beetles crawling along the streets, and people walking on the pavements looked no larger than tiny little grains of soot. "But what tremendous tall buildings!" exclaimed the ladybug. "I've never seen anything like them in England. Which town do you think this is?" "This couldn't possibly be England," the old green grasshopper said. "Then where is it?" asked Miss Spider. "You know what those buildings are," shouted James, jumping up and down with excitement. "Those are skyscrapers. So this must be America, and that, my friends, means that we have crossed the Atlantic Ocean overnight." "You don't mean it," they cried. "It's not possible. It's incredible. It's unbelievable." "Oh, I've always dreamed of going to America," cried the centipede. "I had a friend once who—" "Be quiet," said the earthworm. "Right now, we don't care about your friend. The thing we've got to think about now is how on earth are we going to get down to Earth?" "Ask James," said the ladybug. "I don't think that should be very difficult," James told them. "All we have to do is cut loose a few seagulls. Not too many, mind you, but just enough so that the others can't quite keep us up in the air. Then down we shall go, slowly and gently, until we reach the ground. Centipede will bite through the strings for us one at a time." They've got a plan. Chapter 33. Far below them, in the city of New York. I know some of you will especially love it. That's where we've ended up, New York City. Something like pandemonium, absolute craziness, was breaking out. A great round ball as big as a house had been sighted hovering high up in the sky over the very center of Manhattan. And the cry had gone up that there was an enormous bomb sent over by another country to blow the whole city to smithereens. Air raid sirens began wailing in every section. All radio and television programs were interrupted with announcements that the population must go down into their cellars immediately for safety. 1 million people walking in the streets on their way to work looked up into the sky and saw this monstrous orange thing hovering above them and started running for the nearest subway entrance to take cover. Generals grabbed hold of telephones and shouted orders to everyone they could think of. The mayor of New York called up the president of the United States down in Washington, D.C. to ask for help. And the president, who at that moment was having breakfast in his pajamas, quickly pushed away his half-finished plate of sugar crisps and started pressing buttons right and left to summon the admirals and his generals. And all the way across the vast stretch of America, in all 50 states, from Alaska to Florida, from Pennsylvania to Hawaii, the alarm was sounded and the word went out that the biggest bomb in the history of the world was hovering over New York City and that at any moment it might go off. Now to us, of course, we know it's a peach, a big giant orange ball floating in the sky, but without knowing it's a peach, does make sense why they might have some wondering about this. Let me show you the picture too to help you imagine this. What it would look like from down on the ground. I can't quite make sense of it all. I'm not sure. We'll see how this turns out. Chapter 34. Come on, Centipede, bite through the first string, James ordered. The centipede took one of the silk strings between his teeth and bit through. And once again, but not with an angry cloudman dangling from one end of the string this time, a single seagull came away from the rest of the flock and went flying off on its own. Bite another, James ordered. The centipede bit through another string. Why aren't we sinking? We are sinking. No, we're not. Don't forget that the peach is a lot lighter now than when we started, James told them. It lost an awful lot of juice when all those hailstones hit it in the night. Cut away 2 more seagulls, Centipede. Ah, that's better. Here we go. Now we're really sinking. Yes, this is perfect. Don't bite any more, Centipede, or we'll sink too fast. Gently does it. Slowly, the great peach began losing height, and the buildings and streets down below began coming closer and closer. Do you think we'll all get our pictures in the paper when we get down? The ladybug asked. My goodness, I've forgotten to polish my boots, the centipede said. Everyone must help me polish my boots before we arrive. Oh, for heaven's sake, said the earthworm. Can't you ever stop thinking about... But he never finished his sentence, for suddenly... Whoosh, they looked up and saw a huge 4-engine plane come shooting out of a nearby cloud and go whizzing past them not more than 20 feet over their heads. This was actually the regular early morning passenger plane coming into New York from Chicago, and as it went by, it sliced right through every single one of the silken strings. Uh-oh. And immediately the seagulls broke away, and the enormous peach, having nothing to hold it up in the air any longer, went tumbling down toward the earth like a lump of lead. Help! Cried the centipede. Save us! Cried Miss Spider. We are lost! Cried the ladybug. This is the end! Cried the old green grasshopper. James! Cried the earthworm. Do something, James! Quickly do something! I can't! Cried James. I'm sorry. Goodbye. Shut your eyes, everybody. It won't be long now. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you hanging there. I can't possibly give away the whole ending just yet. I will share the next part of the story with you tomorrow, and I will wrap up what happens. Thankfully, for anyone that's worried about sleeping tight tonight, not knowing what happens, I can assure you there's a little more left in the story. So if this truly was the end, there probably wouldn't be so many pages left. But how they wrap up this story, I will have to share with you tomorrow. So definitely tune in. I'll catch you up on what Roald Dahl believes to be the ending of this story, and what happens with the giant peach and James and all of these giant insect friends. So that will be for tomorrow. For today, I will remind you to keep checking for updates in our Google Classroom. We have lots of fun to be having this week. We're going to keep our camp going right on through the end of this week and up to our last day of school next Tuesday as well. So keep jumping on in, trying new activities and options, and I can't wait to keep having fun with you during this special time for all of us as well. Keep up the great work, my friends. Don't forget to look for moments where you can show caring and kindness to one another. I'll see you all soon. Bye, guys.